Well, it looks like Snowden's got nowhere to go then. Anyway, the NSA leaker is going off and taking anyone he can down with him, blasting the administration in a statement claiming that it is illegally denying his basic right to asylum. But after all of these leaks, does he have that right to Legal Eagles Keisha Hiban and Heather Hansen? Keisha, what do you think?
You know what? I think that he does have that right, but I think that his concern is that the United States is not giving him his due process to say, okay, we're revoking your passport, so therefore he's stuck in Russia right now. But as far as the other countries stating they're not going to give him asylum, that's their decision. And I really don't think that he can blame the U.S. for that. And he's charged with a felony, a serious felony.
But is the U.S. making that more difficult for him?
Oh, for sure. I mean, arguably, he can't get, the other countries, the majority of them, are saying that we won't let you in until you get to our soil. We can't even look at your application for asylum until you get to our soil.
Which is total bogus.
It is, but his argument, I guess, for the passport is, well, I can't get to their soil unless I have a passport. But it's not as if, you know, it's not as if they're saying we're not going to look at your application for asylum because you don't have a passport.
So they're just finding mechanical ways to say, we can't do this, right?
Right.
But I think it's all economic, by the way. I'm going to get into this more, but I just think they don't want to risk damaging business relations with us, and this guy is a thorn in our side, and they grant him asylum. They're a thorn in our side. They don't want to be.
Right, I agree, and I think they're all looking out
Really? I just made that up on the spot. No, well, good for you.
But I do. I think they're thinking about their own interests and how bad would they look and how horrible would their relations with the U.S. be if they were the ones to give him this asylum.
So what is his claim here that the administration is blocking that effort for him to grant asylum? Would he need proof that we're making calls and warnings to these countries not to do that?
I don't think it makes a difference. He's not entitled to asylum. He's entitled to certain legal rights as a U.S. citizen, and he doesn't lose his citizenship by the revocation of his passport. He can come back here and he can face the music. And the Obama administration has said that. I think that he really doesn't have a valid legal claim to say that these other countries won't grant me asylum and you have to let them. There's no issue.
Right, and the fact that even if our government does call other presidents of different countries...
without a judicial order, I might put it.
Right, but he can't say, oh, well, the U.S. is coercing them. Again, they make their own decisions, and whether they say, you know what, don't do this, or he's done this, and that to our country, it's still that country's decision.
It's their call, right?
Right.
Now, something has happened, though. I mean, not that Vladimir Putin can be trusted, but his whole demeanor and language has changed, saying, well, we'd love to keep you if you promise not to reveal any more discriminating intelligence information in the United States. It sounds like a crazy sort of an excuse, but another reason for even Vlad to back away. What do you make of it?
Well, I think that something has definitely happened, and I think Snowden is feeling extremely, extremely desperate. You know, he really doesn't have anywhere to go. He's stuck in this airport. It can't be much fun forever. Where is he going to come? I think ultimately he's going to end up back here.
And
really?
Yeah.
And who can trust him? I mean, come on. He leaked information.
Well, his passport's been revoked, right?
Right.
So what does that mean if you're stuck in another country with passports? You can't go anywhere, or can you?
Well, you can apply for passports. There was a spy named Philip Agee back in the 80s who his passport was taken away, and then he got one in Germany, and then he got one in Ecuador. I mean, he went from Grenada. He's actually the predecessor, I would say, to Snowden. And the Supreme Court case that says that you can have your passport taken away is Haim versus Agee. I mean, he's the one that set the stage for this whole thing. He got passports in other states. He died in Cuba. So the other countries.
Cuba isn't jumping forward on this, by the way, and maybe a lot of that has to do with, hey, we want to rekindle relations with the United States. Why risk it, right?
Right. I think that's what it is. I really do. And as far as him being able to get a passport, like Heather said, he may be able to get one in another country, and there's also the possibility of him getting a one-way one back to the United States. So. And
what would happen to him? He comes back here. He's won on a lot of stuff, but he comes back here. What does he have to look forward to?
Well, he's a trial. I mean, in a purported letter that he wrote today, he says that he faces possible capital charges. He does not. He's charged with violating the Espionage Act. The maximum sentence for each of his crimes is, I think, 10 years. So he's not facing capital.
Well, how many counts would go against him?
I think there's only 3, Neil.
So if he's
30 years
28,
Right, and he
He'd be
still
58?
will. He still will have.
Worst case scenario.
Right, and he'll still have due process afforded to him where he'll have to go to a trial, and a jury will hear the facts of the case and they'll decide. You know, it's not like he's just going to be sent back to the U.S. and tortured and thrown in prison or killed.
Right, and he's trying to compare himself to Bradley Manning and saying that he was somehow tortured in this letter. But I think it's a very different situation. He's going to be tried in a civilian court, not a military court.
And the public sentiment has changed, hasn't it? He looked like a hero, sounded like a hero, then started revealing more secrets, befriending our enemies, and that kind of changed the public view of him.
Right.
Legally, does that change the legal view of him?
I mean, if you've got a jury, it could. It absolutely could. Because
That he looks like a turncoat.
Absolutely.
Right.
And, you know, I wonder if that's not a reason why the government didn't charge him with treason. Because treason is a capital offense. And that would make it more likely for him to be able to say, you can't shoot me back to America because I'm on charges for a capital offense.
Right. I agree with Heather, and I think that's part of the reason. And like she said, the offense that he's charged with is violating the Espionage Act, and it's not a capital offense. So it makes a big difference, you know.
Well, Daniel Ellsberg lived on, but it's already looking like he's no Daniel Ellsberg. This is no...
Yeah, he's not coming across. As he gets more and more desperate, I mean, even his father has changed his tone. His father is now, you know, writing letters and through it an attorney. I think that he's really trying to get him to feel comfortable coming back, calling him Paul Revere today in a letter that he wrote.
Right.
You know, I don't see where, I mean, I said it before, I don't see where else he goes.
Right.
And I think that his best option is to come back here and face the music and go through our judicial system and see what happens.
I don't think he'll ever be back here.
No?
No. He'll
Where's
still
he
be in
gonna
that
go?
airport.
I know, he's going to sit in the airport.
99 and 103.
Chocolate bars.
I just hope there's a Cinnabon out there because he'll be waiting for a while. Every good airport has one, you know.
Yes.
Ladies, thank you both very, very much. In the
Thank you.
meantime...